Hi, today I'm going to tell you how to know which loop to use in Java. As you know, there are three loops: the for loop, the while loop, and then the do while loop. How the three loops work: the for loop repeats an exact number of times according to how you've programmed it. The while loop repeats while something is true. The while condition is the test at the top of the while loop. And the do while loop repeats while something is true too, but the test is at the bottom of the loop, so it will always repeat at least once. Where do we use them? The for loop is when the loop must repeat n times. An example would be drawing a square with the hoja. There are 4 sides to a square, so you would repeat a for loop 4 times. You could be wanting to add the terms in a mathematical series, and you could program your loop to do that exactly. You could be wanting to sort data, as you will learn in grade 11. A while loop would be used for repeating a menu until a user inputs stop, or for repeating in reading from a text file until the end of a file is used. A do while loop is used often for repeating input until the user inputs a valid response. Of course, this list is not every instance that you'd use these three loops for, but it's places where you often use them. Here's a for loop example. We've got 4 brackets int I equals 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. And we're going to print a statement to the user 5 times. It's a very important statement. Got to tell them 5 times. A while loop example, we could have like a delay that we want to carry on for 5 seconds, for example. So we declare an integer called number, set it to equal to 0. Then we put while brackets number less than 5. We close the brackets, we open the curly bracket, that's the start of the while loop, and we use this thing called time unit dot seconds dot sleep brackets 1. That just introduces a delay of 1 second into the program. Number plus plus, and then we print the number and the number of seconds. So it's going to print 1 second, 2 seconds, 3, etc. to 5. So we could have put a for loop here, of course, but the while loop is nice because it's counting up from 0 to 5. And a do while example. Here's a example of input when we want only one kind of input, and we won't let the user get past this point until he types in what we want him to type. So we've got string answer equals quote quote do curly brackets answer equals j option pane dot show input dialog, and then we ask the user, are you smart, yes or no? We convert it to uppercase in case he types in a lowercase letter, and we close the curly bracket of the do while. We say while his answer is not yes, we're going to keep going around and around the loop because this user's got to say yes, he is smart. Okay, just making people feel good about themselves, and then we will print well done for answering yes. So putting all three loops together, I've got a program called which loop, and I've put the for loop, then the while loop, then the do while, all into one program. And I'm going to hop over to NetBeans now to show you how the program works. So here we have this program called which loop, and as you can see, I've put the for loop in there, then the while loop, and then the do while loop. And let's look at how it works. We get printing 5 times over, and then we're going to give you 5 seconds to think, and it counts from 1 to 5. And then the question, just checking you got the message. Are you smart? Yes or no? I type N for no, capital N for no. It doesn't let me through. I have to eventually type a Y for yes. And then it says, well done for answering yes, goodbye. So that works well. And we've got the 3 types of loops in there, each used for a different reason. To use validation of input, we're inputting a cat's name. So we string cat name, we could do a do while, input the cat's name, And our while condition is while brackets, not check name brackets cat name. We are calling a little method called check name here. It's below the end of the main method. And then obviously, as long as check name is false, so as long as the name is not good, we will keep forcing the user to input the cat's name again. And you can go and see my YouTube on the do while and see exactly how this works. So basically, and at the bottom you can see there's a for loop, and we check every character in the cat's name, and if it's not a letter, we will make that check name returns a false. A while loop to do a menu repetitively. I've also got the YouTube on that, which you can go and look at in more detail. Basically, we input a selection at the top. The user must input what language they want. We've then got a while loop. While the option is not equal to X, we are going to do that big switch case and greeting the user in the language he's chosen. At the bottom of the while loop, before the curly bracket of the while loop closes, we input the next language once, and the loop will keep repeating because that little green circle is showing, or square shows, the end of the while loop. Here's a while loop to read from file. There's also YouTube on this if you want to go and have a look. And you can see that here we use a while loop to check whether the end of the file has been reached yet when reading the file. As long as the file end is not reached, we keep reading more names. So here's our conclusion. If your loop must repeat an exact number of times, like printing something exactly X times, or drawing a square with 4 sides, or checking each letter in a word, the length of the word will be a constant while you run the program. Then use a for loop. If you want to repeat some code while the user has not inputted, for example, E for exit, or while there are still lines to read when you're reading a file, use a while loop. If you want to repeat some code at least once and continue while the user has not inputted valid data, use a do while loop.